Welcome to Invincipod. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we are talking about the Invincible trailer.
That's it. We're going to go through the whole cast list and talk about everything that we expect and hope the show will be.
Let's do it. What's up?
How's it going?
Doing all right.
How are you?
Doing all right.
I was just trying to think. I think the last time we properly spoke was probably about 11 years ago.
I don't remember.
That's cool. It's a
what was the circumstance? Was it like a live Jane Jack thing or something?
It was at San Diego.
Oh, you're in Comic-Con.
It was at San Diego. It was in line for the last. Yeah, it was the last Lost panel.
Got it, dude.
It's what would it have been? 2009. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of the last times I went to actually spend the weekend there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not that I'm super popular, but I meet so many people at Comic-Con, and I probably don't remember it. I really don't, which makes me feel shitty. But that's funny. I went to a podcast recording, as just a viewer, and someone came up to me and "Hey Ralph, how's it going?" And my brain started flipping through this mental Rolodex, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, okay.
Where do I know this guy?
I'm like, okay, he's from VHS Dude Stuff. That's where I know him. And I'm 99% sure his name is Topher. But I'm afraid to say his name. Because I'm like, oh fuck. So I don't know.
1%, yeah, of course.
Do you want to swear on this thing? Is that fine? Are you good?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, because
I'd probably find it hard to not.
Yeah, because I am aware of your podcast, Lonely Boys Meet World, but I've never watched the show, so.
No, it's the same with most people. To be honest, it's such a weird niche little thing that it was just one of those things that me and one of the guys grew up watching it, and the other one had never seen it, so we would talk about it all the time, and we were just like, fuck it, we'll introduce you to it, and we'll just do a podcast about it. So
how many episodes of Boy Meets World is there?
7 seasons, and all 22 episode seasons. So
holy shit.
Yeah, we're gonna be going a while. I
was like, well, if you have someone new on board, maybe I'll jump in and start watching it. But fuck, 7 seasons.
It's a big commitment. Yeah. That was the other reason where me and Mitchell were both talking about wanting to do a rewatch, but I know that without doing something with it, I would never have the commitment to just sit down and watch it all again. I'd just be like, yeah, cool. I'd check out an odd episode or two, and then I'd check out. So I was like, yeah, no, fuck it. If we do a podcast, it will actually give me an excuse to watch it all.
Yeah, I have the Kaiju podcast with Jorge, and there's a million movies to watch. So I think it was last year we just decided, hey, let's put a cap on this thing so we can do good movies instead of stalling with real shitty movies. So that's coming up. So
is that what you're doing then? You've got your list of what you've got.
Yeah, and then there's going to be a bunch of stuff we didn't watch that we'll probably sprinkle in, because we've been doing it for 4 years, and we've hit, between my schedule and his schedule, it's crazy that we've hit our deadline every other week. We do it bi-weekly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So 5 a.m. every other Monday, we hit that thing. We haven't missed not even a minute on any of the episodes. So it kind of gets a little grueling after 4 years. And so I'm like, okay, cool. At the end of this year, we'll call it a day. And then I saw the Invincible trailer and it said 2021. I was like, oh shit, Kaiju Pod will be done.
Oh shit,
now.
I got a schedule.
And I'm like, okay. But it wasn't until I talked to you. I posted, I just in my Instagram stories, reposted it from Skybound or something. I don't remember, or Invincible HQ or something. And you saw that, and you sent me a DM, and you're like, oh, thanks for posting this. This made my day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so I hadn't seen the trailer yet. I know I probably would have caught it at some point because
Right.
it's Invincible and it would have just sort of gone through. But for whatever reason, it hadn't popped up on Twitter or Instagram or anything for me yet. But as soon as you put it up, I was like, oh shit. Like, I stopped everything that I was doing. I was like, I'm going to watch this because I've been excited about the show since they announced it. And yeah, like, I know that you were a big fan as well. And it was just one of those things that I was like, shit, now I got someone that I can talk to about this instantly. My other friends who like the show were just like, they like it as well, but I don't think any of them would be interested in doing a show about it.
Right. And I wasn't really, it didn't even cross my mind to do a show, but we started talking about it. And I'm like, man, I'm really excited about this show. And it says at the end 2021. And I'm like, oh, I'm free to do anything. And you're a podcaster. And I'm like, I have this panic attack. I'm like, okay, let's go look for the title. Let's go on Twitter and Instagram.
I mean, you
and
got
all
it
that
like
shit.
you nailed it straight away. Like, and I think it was how quickly everything came together. Like, it was within hours of us like first talking about it that like you had everything locked down. And I was like, yep, cool, right, this is it. We're in. I love it.
Yeah, it was weird because like I the same thing happened with the Kaiju podcast. Me and Jorge went and saw a Godzilla movie together, and afterwards we went to dinner and we just talked about everything under the sun, like Godzilla related and King Kong and stuff. And I'm like, I got home, I'm like, shit, man, that was really fun. I kind of want to do a podcast about Godzilla. And so I went and I looked up Kaiju podcast, and nothing was named that. There wasn't a podcast called that. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So I'm like, oh, Kaiju Pod's like available across the board. And so I did the same thing. In a day, I secured all that shit, but then I waited like something like 3 weeks to talk to him.
No, I was going to say, had you mentioned it to him yet?
No. And that's
awesome.
The thing is, he's like, at the time he was working on, I think, Hawaii 5-0. I'm like, oh shit.
I was going to say, it had still been on that 4 years ago, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, let me ask him. and my pitch to him was essentially, it was like, okay, I'm thinking of having it do it every other week. We can record a bunch ahead of time, 2 at a time.
Yeah.
So when we record 2, that's a month worth of podcasts. And I said, you can bail out at any time. I don't mind getting a different host. And he's like, all right, yeah, let's see where it goes. It has been 4 years.
That's awesome.
So,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So when we started talking about Invincible on Instagram, I was like, oh fuck, I really want to do a podcast. And I don't, but I think it was like one of those things where I haven't podcasted a TV show. Well, I guess I did The Mandalorian last year, but I didn't do one since Lost, which ended 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, and were you even doing the show weekly at the end? Like, because I know that Dharmala sort of wrapped up, didn't it?
Oh, we wrapped up early, huh? Yeah, I think we missed like the last half of the last season or something. That's a whole can of worms.
We won't get into that.
But the thing is, I was like, as soon as I saw this trailer for Invincible, I'm like, okay, let's see here. It's a streaming service and it's animated, and I'm like, I'm sure it's not going to be a full like 28 episode season. I'm like, I think we can do this. I think it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because when I did The Mandalorian,
and it's not going to be a region locked thing or anything like that. It's easy.
No, and it was nice because it was like when I did the Mandalorian stuff, I had to find 8 different people because I wanted to do the show and then have different co-hosts, which I'm in the middle of doing again for season 2. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
I'm always happy to talk Star Wars.
But I'm like, oh, it's only 8 episodes, and it turns out, I guess Invincible is only 8 episodes according to IMDb.
Cool.
So I'm like, oh, cool. So we can call this one of those
handy,
a mini series or something.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I don't know if
have they even announced the start date yet, or is it just 2021?
2021. We could be doing this, starting this up next year. You know,
we might have to talk about the comics for a little bit just to like keep people happy.
Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna check real quick on IMDb because I thought it was supposed to come out late October this year, and I thought I heard something about it, but I I haven't heard anything.
Hopefully it'll just be early next year then.
Right.
It would make sense if they're putting a trailer out now, like early next year. It seems to make sense.
I would say like maybe a February. I don't know. Maybe January. Yeah. Who knows?
That'd be fun. That'd be good. February would be lovely. Like I've been looking at like TV schedules at the moment. It's like Mandalorian that leads nicely into The Expanse, which I love. And then if it's February, that like wraps up at the beginning of February. So into this would be amazing.
Have you looked at the IMDb page yet?
No, yeah. Let me bring it up.
There's some things that I have some concerns about. There's one thing.
Oh, wow.
There's one thing I have a big concern about. Okay, so we both read the books.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I actually realized when I started rereading that I never finished it. Because I left the comic book shop and I switched to trades. And for whatever reason, the last 2 trades I've been sat on my shelf, like unread for years now. And I'm like, well, shit. Like, I need to reread the whole thing and actually fucking finally finish it.
I started reading in about 2008, and I was working at a comic book shop, and I was reading trades. And I was buying trades.
This was a conversation that we had, because I think we were talking about the Robert Kirkman panel, because I'd just been to it like the day before when we were at Comic-Con. Or it was later that day or something. And we were talking about, like, because you weren't really into Walking Dead at the time, and we were both saying how Invincible is sort of way more both of our speeds than Walking Dead ever was.
Yeah. I've made it through 11 trades of Walking Dead. So actually did pretty good.
Probably about where I got to. Yeah, I think that's probably where everyone had a point.
Yeah, once the series started, I watched the first season and then dropped off of that. Because I'm not a horror guy. I'm an action guy. I like action movies.
Yeah, same.
And so kind of Invincible fit that for me. And then, so when I left the comic book shop, I started, instead of getting trades, I started doing monthlies digitally.
Okay. So I have a very similar thing. I started with the trades, and then I was also working at a comic book shop over here. And that's when I switched to issues. I actually switched because a friend of mine had a pinup. You know, they used to have the pinups in the back of the issues.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had one of those. I think it was 49, maybe. It was an Atom Eve pinup. And so I switched to issues then and just sort of carried on reading while I was at the shop, just the singles. And then switched back to trades, read for a little bit when I left Forbidden Planet, but then just never finished the series.
Right. I dropped off for a while, and I think I dropped off around issue 100. And then when the quarantine started over here, I blasted through the rest of them. I just finished nice. A couple months ago.
I was going to say, so it's all fresh in your mind.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is that the new stuff is fresh in my mind. I started in 2008, and like I said, I don't remember that far back. It's 12 years ago. So I've been rereading I started rereading the books. Along the way, I got the trades versions on digital. Like anytime there's a big sale on Comixology, I'll get a...
Yeah, I just picked up the big compendium Comixology, so I've just been
it's like $23
taking my tablet to work.
$50.
Yeah, it was like £18.99 over
really?
here. So yeah, you're probably getting a better deal, but still cheap as hell. Like cheap as anything for us. Yeah, it's great.
The show I mentioned, I'm really interested to see if they did like a 1-for-1 comparison with the book, because the trailer looks like it's straight from the book. There's one bit of casting in the IMDb page that leads me to believe we're not going to see a 1-for-1 of the book.
I've got it up here. What's the one?
We have Max Burkholder as Oliver Grayson.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So from season 1, that's way early.
And especially since it's 8 episodes.
Yeah, and he's listed as everyone's listed as being in all 8, so I can't imagine that everyone would pop up in all of them. But wow, yeah, that maybe they're just gonna have him have the baby brother from the start. Maybe.
But I feel like I always think of him as a late addition, and the whole thing with him is he ages really quickly. So I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe it's not just the correct, it's IMDb, so who knows. But of all the names on here, that's the one that I'm like, oh wait, that's definitely not first 8 episode stuff.
No way. So what do you think they'll do in the first 8 episodes? My thought is that they'll just get all the way through to like are we going to be spoily? Are we going to spoil the books like straight off the bat?
It's hard to say, because I mean, people might be coming on board to listen to the show. I'm going to say this for those of you that haven't read the books. In the third trade paperback,
yeah, we're on the same page.
there's a major event that happens. Any reader of the book knows what this major event is. If you're not a reader of the book, do you think that's going to be like the finale of season 1?
I feel like it has to be. But then the same, I would have said that, but then like with the Walking Dead TV show, they didn't do the big twist that I was expecting at the end of season 1 that I think every book reader was, with Shane. Well, we can spoil Walking Dead, but like the Shane thing, I was expecting at the end of season 1 of that, but they didn't. So maybe they won't. Maybe they'll drag it on. But I don't know. I'm looking at this cast, and I'm like, I feel like we need it.
So when I worked at the comic book store, Jeff Johns came and did a signing for Blackest Night at our comic book store. Really cool. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. Yeah. And that's the big deal. Yeah. He took us out to dinner afterwards. Really cool guy. I mean, he grabbed every leftover book on the shelf. He went through the shelves of the bookstore to find all of his books that he had done, and he signed them all.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. While we're closing up and doing the register, he did it. We didn't even ask him. He just started doing that. He took us to dinner afterwards, or maybe my boss took him to dinner. I don't know. We all went to dinner, and I told him. He said, "What are you guys reading?" And I said, "I really like Invincible." And he said, "Oh, I'm trying to get." He said, "I've been meaning to get into that. Like, how is it?" I said, "It's a really easy read. It's a lot of fun. You got to get to trade paperback 3." And he's like, "Oh, that's a lot of reading." Yeah. To like put my faith in a book and stick with something. I'm like, it's really good up until that point, but at that point it changes everything. And I don't know. I obviously I haven't seen him since, but I'd like to think that he read Invincible because it's awesome.
I mean, it feels like for what he's written as well, it feels like it's so up his alley that it would be weird if he hadn't read it or wasn't interested in it. Because, I mean, especially with his run on Green Lantern and everything, it feels like he would love it.
I'm looking at my list because I wrote a list of things. I don't know if you've read other Kirkman stuff other than Walking Dead and Invincible.
I did at the time. I was reading pretty much everything he put out around then, like the late 2000s, early 20... No, it wouldn't have been... Yeah, I left in 2014, so between 2007 and 2014, I read almost everything that he put out.
I'm a huge fan of Astounding Wolfman. I love that book. And
Wolfman was great. Yeah. I loved Wolfman.
And then I actually read Super Dinosaur, which isn't my age bracket.
I read the first few issues. Yeah, no, it was definitely like his branching out into a kid book, wasn't it? Yeah. And
then I tried watching the series. Have you watched the series at all on Amazon? Did you know there was a Super Dinosaur?
No, I had no idea.
I stumbled across it like a couple months ago, and I was like flipping through Amazon Prime because I'm like, what, I never really check Amazon Prime, but we have it. And I'm like, Super Dinosaur, like the Robert Kirkman book, and I turned it on, and it's like a CG animated.
As in Kirkman Super, yeah.
Yeah, it's a CG animated like kids show. And I have no idea if it was popular or like, I think it might be newish, but Amazon Prime made a Super Dinosaur show.
Weird. I mean, that's awesome. And if it's sort of, I'm guessing it is targeted to the same age bracket as the book, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So I haven't really watched that, but I was at the same time, I was like, I watched a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is definitely not for me. So
I think it's probably just one of those things, isn't it? It's going to be like with the success of Walking Dead, everyone I think was just buying up anything Kirkman they could, maybe except for Battle Pope, because I don't know if that could fly anywhere.
Right. I guess not. Especially in this country, I don't understand it.
Yeah. I think you guys would have a hard time with it.
I don't think I'm going to get into that.
No, probably not.
But it seems like they're doing a bigger push for Invincible than they're doing for Super Dinosaur, which is nice.
Super Dinosaur, yeah. I can imagine it's got a broader audience, isn't it? It's going to appeal to a wider demographic.
And then let me look. I'm going to open up this IMDb again.
Yeah, I've got it in front of me.
Okay, I'm gonna look at some of this cast list because it's insane the names that show up. So Stephen Yeun is Mark Grayson. That's great. He sounds good in the trailer.
I think they announced that. They announced that one straight off the bat. I think when they first announced the show, didn't they?
Right.
I like it. He sounds like he's Mark. He could be Mark. It's perfect.
And I'm wondering if it's also a way to get Walking Dead fans over. They see Robert Kirkman and Stephen Yeun, so.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you love Glenn, right? Like, he's here. Yeah, J.K. Simmons. I mean, it's J.K. Simmons. He can't really do any wrong, especially with voice work. I'm looking through, like, you got J.K. Simmons and Mae Whitman. It's like that's two characters from Avatar right there,
which I haven't seen.
Oh man, that's a great show. That's right up there with Star Wars as like my favorite franchises.
Right.
But yeah, like Mae Whitman was in Last Airbender, and J.K. Simmons was in Korra, the sort of the sequel series. So that's cool. I mean, they've both got sort of voice talent, credibility. And obviously Mae Whitman, everyone knows and loves as Anne in Arrested Development.
Seth Rogen as Alan is going to be great.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Kind of funny. I'm forgetting his name. Greg Miller, podcaster and everything. Video game guy. He was really he's a big Invincible fan. He was lobbying hard to get to play Alan when they first announced this show. I think he would have been very good, but he's nowhere on the scale of Seth Rogen. So having Rogen in there is brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen's a huge Invincible fan and was producing, and I think maybe still is, the live action film.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't realize that they were still doing that. I thought maybe that had.
I mean, this is bad information, but I remember. I think I remember him saying that this show is completely different from the movie he's producing. He's saying that his still exists. I could be wrong, but I'm glad he's in. I think he's going to be fun. I mean, he's doing a lot. I never really pictured Alan's voice.
No, I couldn't peg it, but then you see Seth Rogen and it's yeah, okay, cool. I'm fine with that.
Right.
Alan's one of those characters who he can bounce between super serious and wacky fun. Right. Depending on the situation. So I feel like Rogen's got the chops. We've seen him do some serious stuff now, so it would be nice to see him do that sort of thing.
Zazie Beetz is Amber Bennett.
Yeah, she's great.
Mark Hamill is Art Rosenbaum. That should be good.
That's cool. Seeing Hamill do a voice job that isn't the main villain is nice.
Right.
Seeing him be kind of a nice guy, a helpful older character. He's almost like the I don't know, the man in the chair sort of thing, but he's the one that Mark can go to for help.
Right. Walton Goggins is Cecil Stedman. That should be fun. I really like his work.
Yeah.
So
what voice work has Walton Goggins done? I only know his sort of live action stuff. Has he done any voice work before?
I don't know if he's done voice work. I don't know.
No.
I know he. Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a great character actor who can do sort of anything. So seeing what he does for Cecil will be really interesting.
Yeah, and he's gonna have that. I think he kind of has a bit of a southern accent. So
cool.
I could see Cecil having that. Jason Mantzoukas is Rex Sloan.
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna go super wacky with it?
I don't know, because I'm so used to him on he always plays these crazy characters. He's always
he's always Jason Mantzoukas.
Right. So I guess, I mean, we'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah, I always sort of pictured Rex as sort of just the jockey frat guy more than Mantzoukas sort of over the top.
Right.
Just nuts. But we'll see.
Gillian Jacobs is Adam Eve. I like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, she's brilliant. She's always fun. I think she'll be able to bring that.
There's let's see here. Greg Griffin and Kevin Michael Richardson are in the group. She's playing Amanda, and he's playing the Mahler twins, and then a couple others. They're both in Green Lantern, the animated series.
I recognized Kevin Michael Richardson's name. I didn't know where from.
And the producer of Green Lantern, the animated series, is a friend of mine, Giancarlo Volpe, who also worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I believe Korra as well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it makes sense. So there's a lot of crossover. That's cool.
Zachary Quinto is Robot. I mean. Is he going to be Spock?
He can be robotic.
Is he just going to do a Spock impression?
Yeah, exactly. He just does the same thing. Yeah, that's it. That's all he needs to do, and that's Robot. Put a bit of a synthesizer on the way, and you're fine.
There's not really other names I recognize, but then there's that Max Burkholder as Oliver Grayson. That's a huge question mark. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to look him up, see what he's done.
I'm excited about this cast. It's almost all people I know.
I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's the sort of cast that you see that in a movie and you go, oh shit, I want to see that. You can market around that cast, which is something that's nice for an animated show, because you don't always need to do that. You can normally just go, no, these are good voice talent. Whereas you could put these guys on screen. We didn't even talk about Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson. That's really cool as well. Like, she doesn't have that much to do, especially like if we think the first 8 episodes are going to go the way they do. She doesn't have masses, but she's great. I mean, she is Sandra Oh.
Are you familiar with Chris Diamantopoulos? He's playing Doc Seismic.
No, I feel like I've seen the name, but I don't know where from.
He was Mo in the Three Stooges movie. The Farrelly brothers did. He's
okay. I never saw it.
Okay, did you watch? God, what am I thinking? I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to think of his character's name, but he was on Silicon Valley, and on Silicon Valley.
That's where I recognize the name from.
Yeah, he played.
Oh yeah, he's the douchey guy.
Right.
The guy who's always trying to get his billion. Yeah.
Right, but more interesting, he has done voice work. He's done a lot of voice work. He is currently the voice of Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah.
In the Disney Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Wow. Yeah, he's in DuckTales. He's in American Dad. He's he's got a lot of voice work.
So that should be really good. Yeah, I think that's the whole. Did we just go through the whole?
Yeah, he's
cast
definitely
list?
in that Seth MacFarlane camp, isn't he?
Yeah, we went.
I mean, hell, we're here, aren't we? We've got most of them.
Russ Marquand's going to be on it as Aquarius. Oh man, there's a lot of people. Lauren Cohen. They're both from.
Okay, yeah, Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Mahershala Ali is Titan. He's like. There's like Academy Award winners in here.
Like, yeah, and like they've got a full cast. Like they've not whittled it down to like just a few characters. Like it feels like they're going to be introducing a lot of main people.
How do you think?
Obviously, we've got the teen team.
I'm wondering how they get involved. I'm wondering if it's just, it's an easy job. It'll be a day's worth of work. I wonder if Amazon's giving them a big paycheck. I wonder if maybe they're just fans of the book.
Maybe. I mean, I'm looking through, like, you've got Sonequa Martin Green, Chad L. Coleman, Lauren Cohen. Like, these are all people that were in Walking Dead as well. So I feel like Kirkman and his camp of people have probably built up real good faith with these guys. So as soon as they go to them, they'll just be like, hey, come on, just for a day or two of voice work. Like, we'd love to have you on.
Right. I don't know. It's shaping up to be real cool. I know Corey Walker, for those of you who don't know, co-created the book with Robert Kirkman, has been working on the character designs.
Did the art for the, first 6 issues? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's done the character design for the series. I mean, obviously it's based off the characters from the book, but the way we see them in the series are taken like directly from him. Like any sort of change in designs or upgrades or anything like that, Corey Walker was involved.
That's cool.
So, I mean, the show...
Like, the style of the show looks like a nice blend of, like, Corey Walker's art and Ryan Otley, who took over from Corey Walker.
I love Ryan Otley.
Quite early on, and did, like... Otley's amazing. Like, I've got a couple of prints of his, like, a couple of Invincible prints, literally, that I'm looking at right now where I record. And, yeah, his art is amazing.
In probably that same year I met you, I met Otley, and I think I spent something like $60. It might not even have been that much. It might have been like $40 to get him to do an original piece for me.
Oh wow!
One of his
That's
sketches.
Amazing.
It's whenever the Pinwheels.
This is like
his book Pinwheels came out.
It's probably around then.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's where I got that. Both of these prints were directly from him and stuff. I've got a really awkward picture of me with him from that con. But yeah, no, it was one of those cool things where obviously not many of these creators come over to the UK that often, and even though I was working at a comic book shop, I think in the 7 years that I was there, we had like 2 signings. So it was just people that lived fairly locally, just a couple of writers, just small scale stuff.
Right.
The best we got was when people would go to the London store to do some signings. But if it was something that I was interested in, I'd take the day off and I'd just go up there and just be like, hey, yeah, I work for the store, on the South Coast.
I didn't even get an Invincible drawing from him. I got
okay, you just got
I got Mike Allred's Madman, because that's like my favorite comic book character.
Yeah,
of all
that's
time. And
yeah, you introduced me to Madman. Like I knew of Mike Allred before, but it was you talking about Madman on, it must have been one of the earlier podcasts that you did,
right?
That made me go, I need to check this out. And yeah, I love that run. I can't remember. It was the one from like the late 2000s, the one at Image that they did.
Oh yeah. And that's that's the cool thing is, like, I just wanted to see Madman in Otley's style, and it turned out great. I'll have to post that somewhere on the Instagram. But then he did,
definitely.
Image did what was it? Image 20-year anniversary, where Otley did that huge spread that had like Invincible.
He just did like all of the big like original Image,
Savage Dragon and Youngblood,
and like even like the old Spawn and all the old like classic Image characters.
And he had Madman in there at the time. Because Madman was currently in Image, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. He seemed to enjoy it, though. Enjoy doing Madman. He's like, oh, I've never drawn Madman before. I'm like, oh, cool. That's something I'd like to do is...
a Madman show.
But it's impossible. Maybe Amazon
would be super specific.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like depending on the success of Invincible, like I think Madman's sort of in that same vein. You could get weird and wacky with it, but
yeah, you can make it real trippy. But who knows? We'll have to. I'll talk to. Yeah, we'll see. I actually have Mike Allred. Mike Allred is signed on. He wants to do the Mandalorian season 2 finale with me. So.
Amazing.
This is weird.
That's so cool. Oh, I can't wait to listen to
it. That dude has full Mandalorian armor from the show. Like I don't know if he made it. I don't know if he bought it. There's pictures of him dressed as the Mandalorian full on in the backyard with his grandchildren on the swing set.
That's so cool.
So, man, I don't I don't know what else to talk about as far as Invincible goes. I'm calling this episode 0 because I feel like to kind of go with.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But yeah, we never even gave an introduction. We never did an introduction.
No, we didn't. We just sort of jumped straight into it.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of just having conversations. We have I think on Kaiju Pod we have like a 3-star review. It's like it just sounds like a couple of friends talking about Godzilla movies, and I'm like, perfect, you get it.
It kind of is, yeah. Thanks.
Maybe
it's the best review.
So maybe we can do an intro after this, and I'll pop it in. Dude, all morning I was looking for music.
Cool.
I'm like, I wanna, because usually on my podcast I just take whatever. I just take music that I don't have any right to post and put it at the front of the show, and then just because I always do these podcasts like they're independent and they get put up on Apple and they don't get flagged for anything. But I also want to put this up on YouTube. I found with the Kaiju podcast that a lot of people listen on YouTube, and that'll flag us with stuff. So I'm gonna continue to look for music.
So I was thinking about music, and I remember years ago there's a punk band, Say Anything, and the lead singer of that was a big fan of Invincible, and he did a song. Like he used to just do commissions, like people could pay him a couple $100, and he'd write a song about whatever they wanted.
All right.
And I remember seeing a video that he did one about Atom Eve.
Okay.
And I've been trying to find it desperately because it was just something that he just put up on YouTube as well. But I haven't been able to find it. I think he's taken it down or something. But I'll keep looking and I'll send it your way if I do find it. That's
cool. And that's something that I'm sure YouTube wouldn't flag.
No, I don't think so. I think he'd probably be fine with it even if you just sort of sent him a message.
Yeah. Send him a message.
I think I'll look it up. I'll try and find him. I'll try and find the song, and I'll get on it. But
I'm excited about the show. I can't wait for it. Who knows when it's going to be? I think maybe. Well, the thing is, so the only thing we have right now is the teaser trailer, which leads me to believe that they're going to have a full trailer before the show comes out. So maybe we'll pop back on when that happens, and then
we'll do a trailer breakdown or something, or just discuss it.
Right, and then maybe that'll be like episode 0.2. I don't know. Because I was kind of excited because I'm like, oh, we can have like episode 1 be episode 1 of the show. Like our episodes can track the same.
That makes sense. I'm fine. I think that's a good way of doing it. That's sort of what we do with Lonely Boys Meets World.
Right. I don't have much more to say. I guess we can. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we're good.
We can point everybody into the direction of Invincipod. You obviously are listening to this, which means you found us somehow, which means you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm still working on. I have a YouTube channel, but it's youtube.com/ a bunch of random stuff. I think we need to get like 100 subscribers before we get to make it /Invincipod.
So if you're listening to this, go and subscribe to it, and that will help us.
Right. And I'm going to put this episode up there as well. It'll be the audio with a little sound wave thing going across.
So even if you've listened to it elsewhere, like go and subscribe to the YouTube so that we can get that also as well. Even if you don't plan to listen to it there full time. Right.
But yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And then also if you go to invincipod.com, I can't imagine. I mean, I put the RSS feed in there so you could put this into your favorite podcast player because we have to have this done recording, edited, and then put in, like, submit it to the different podcast platforms.
Yep.
Which means you're already hearing it, which means you don't need the RSS feed to figure that out. You've already figured it out, but it's hard to do. It's hard to... Starting a podcast is one of the hardest things to do because
you need to have an episode to be able to start it.
Yeah, and this is that episode.
Yeah.
So, I don't...
So if you are listening to this, congrats.
Yeah, you probably follow at Casino Skunk. That's me. I'm everywhere. And then you're at Jay Hewlett.
Yep, that's it. It's JHEWLETT. On that everywhere.
Cool. So that's probably where you heard this first. So all that other stuff didn't matter. But go follow us on all there. We'll be posting Invincible stuff. I'm gonna scan this Ryan Otley Madman piece and I'll post that on Instagram and stuff. But
I'm gonna try and find the picture of 22-year-old me and Ryan Otley at Comic-Con, and maybe a picture of me and Ralph if I can find one from the same year.
Oh, cool. I'm sure. Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure I'm dressed in like a bright yellow shirt.
I can't remember. It was probably a Green Lantern.
Okay, so we'll catch you next time. I don't have a sign off. Do you have any ideas for a sign off?
No, we'll figure that out. Look up. You don't know what you'll see.
Oh, I like it.